Hello everyone and welcome to the OD Guitars channel. Now I'm going to show you some parts of the process of building the Rhea for Namm. This is how I shape the radius for the neck, and that's after the CNC did a rough pass on it. Yes, I'm doing it by hand, and then I'm checking across a light source if there are any gaps, and after that I'm moving on to leveling it with by hand. So I'm making sure by that I didn't miss any spots on the radius. Of course, I'm checking with a gauge all the time that I'm not missing anything or I did a mistake. And once that's done, we're going into the fret inside the fretboard. When I'm doing maple fretboard, then there's just a thin amount of lacquer to protect it so it won't get dirty over the years. Here's how I do the frets. Yeah, very fast. Of course, that's 4 times faster than real life. And what I'm doing is pressing them in. I'm not using any glue since the slots are exactly the width and depth I wanted them to be. There's some of the advantages of the CNC machine, of course. I'm leveling all the frets on the belt cylinder, just smoothing it out and make the neck flat on both sides. Next I'll be moving to thickness the headstock. The headstock thickness is about 15 millimeters, and that's the fun part where I reveal all the natural geometric holes by sanding down the thickness, and you will just reveal it and it shows really nicely at the end. Here I'm taping between the frets, so I won't hurt the fretboard once I'm done with the fretboard. It's better to protect it as soon as possible so nothing goes in or scratches it or dent it, and also that we'll use later on for the rounding of the frets, the end frets. So again, not hurting them with a little file. That will be useful for the end episode, I guess, where I assemble the guitar and doing fret level. So things I didn't show on the video is this fretboard originally wasn't planned for binding, and I didn't like the outcome of the inlay showing on the sides. It looked like a big mess and I didn't like it. I had to do the binding later on, and it was an ebony binding. As you can see, it's black on the side now, and it wasn't easy, but I fixed it on the CNC and did it manually using the CNC as a bridge board, like the one I'm working now for the side dots drilling. And I just carved out a place for the binding, for the ebony binding. And it looks actually much more 3D and nice at the end. Okay, moving on to shaping the neck. I'm doing it on a belt cylinder. I like to do it by hand because I love feeling the the neck in between the sanding and see if I'm on the right shape. What I do before that, I level the neck to the right thickness at the first fret and on the 21 fret, which is 19 on the first and about 21 millimeters on the 21 fret, and that assures me that I'm always gonna use a straight neck when I'm shaping it, and I'm only taking off the sides and the portions of the neck from the side without touching the middle, because I know the middle is straight. And next I'm moving to hand sanding the neck, just flattening out the rough sanding on the belt sander. I use this jig with the notch at the second fret and another one at the 15th or 17th fret, so I can measure in between if I'm on the right thickness and didn't change anything. Here is where I carve the volute, which is the best part in my opinion, that and the neck joint probably. And I'm trying to keep the volute backwards and after the first fret starts, after the start of the fretboard, since I don't want the player to feel the volute too much when playing the first chords on the start of the fretboard. So yeah, that's the process. Focusing on the background, I guess. I wasn't behind the camera, so I couldn't see that. Sorry. And moving on to hand sanding. That's going to level everything, every sharp angle on the neck, and keep it really round and smooth. Starting off with 80 grit, then 100 grit, then 150, 220, 320, and 400 at the end. One of the things I'm doing to the neck after doing this process is rounding the edges of the fretboard toward the finger, so once you play you won't feel any sharp edges. And this is prior to binding the neck. The reason I didn't shoot the video of the binding is because I was so nervous I'm going to ruin this neck. I didn't recorded it, so you have to trust me on this one. And you're going to see it at the end. This neck is actually binding now. Binded. Binding? Has binding on it. Meanwhile, I'm going to tell you that later on you're going to see me shaping the body, sanding the surfaces smooth, and doing all kind of tiny and tedious things you might not know needs to be done on a guitar, or you do. Anyway, I'm going to show you that. So, starting with the headstock, this is how I do the edges round, and I'm starting with 220 just to round off the sharp edges. And what I would suggest as a thumb rule for everything, everything you build doesn't matter if it's a guitar or a model airplane or whatever, needs to be smooth out to not have any sharp edges, because sharp edges tend to break easily and damaged easily. Also, one very important thing, it's the highlight that goes on the curve that holds that edge. That's just looks, you know, but it's important too. Here's where I sand off the edges of the natural geometrics. Yes, I do it a lot. It's not an easy task, but I brought it on myself, right? That guitar is going to be on the Namm show, on the boutique guitar showcase by Jamie Gale, and hopefully you're going to come and see it at the show. If not, then I'll post some pictures, you know, and you can enjoy this video and the photos. I'm sanding now the edges of the frets. As you can see, here is the fretboard with the binding on it. Sanding off the new inlays on the binding. Had to do them again, of course. Some more sanding. So what I'm doing is planning the serial number on the computer, and at that time I wasn't sure what it's going to be. Of course it has its own seed number which determines the natural geometrics pattern on it, but so eventually I chose R, which is for Rhea, and Namm 19. Sanding off the edges of the body, the rough edges from the CNC. As you might imagine, the CNC doesn't do all the work. Does a nice amount of the work, but the body doesn't come out clean as you like it to be, so you have to sand, and for me that's the part which I love doing. It's part of building guitars. Doing here the back cover for the electronics, which also is going to be special for the Namm show. It's going to be 2 layers of wood. One is black limba, just like the body, and the other one will be quilted maple, dyed to orange like the body. One of the methods with tinting is doing it over and over again. You need to tint, let it dry, then sand it back, tint again, let it dry, sand it back, and so forth. That way you're going to get a 3-dimensional pattern in the wood, like you see on that quilt. Otherwise it's going to be a little bit flat. And if you want to get a real three-dimensional look, you have to go through all this process. I'm using here the Starbond adhesive for the gluing. Very nice products from this company. They have thin, thick, medium and black dyed glue, all super glue type, and finished with the back cover. I screw it in so I can level it with the body and check that the screws are sitting in the right place and everything looks nice. Drilling out holes for the pickups wires with a steel drill. It's a long one. Going in slowly, taking it out to let the dust extract outside until you meet the cavity. Here I'm leveling out the electronic cavity cap just to be flush with the body, and some more sanding. I'm going through 80 grit, then 120, 180. Next will be 220 and 320, then 400, and that's where I'll hit the paint booth. Shaping the outer edges and giving it a small radius so it would be comfortable on the body while playing, and also have the strength of for the edges to not dent easily, break easily. Also for the pickups cavity, the only place I want to do it is where the neck pocket is. Drilling out the holes for the Dunlop strap lock strap. Let's see you say that fast. Dunlop strap lock strap. Dunlop strap lock strap. So yeah, one at the bottom and one at the upper horn. Holes for the electronics. One volume knob and one three-way switch, because who needs a tone, right? And I'm not drilling at the point I marked because I figured it's not centered and I'd like it centered in the cavity. That would be the hole for the jack. checking out for uneven surfaces and things need to be smoothed out or level out with sanding, and I mark them because it's really tiny and you will easily miss it later. So I'm using a flashlight and a phone flashlight. I know it looks stupid maybe, but that really helps me see every little dent or scratch. So that's sanding those things I found earlier in that check. Hope you enjoyed it. That's the end of the video part 5. If you didn't see the part 1, 2, 3 and 4, then go do it now. It's on my YouTube channel. It will be a part of a playlist, and stay tuned for the next episode. This is going to be step-by-step building the Rhea for Namm, including the end result. And please subscribe, don't forget to subscribe the channel.